Jason Reitman, director of Labor Day, Joyce Maynard, author of the novel Labor Day, on which the movie is based. Thank you for being here and bringing this beautiful movie to our film festival.
Thank you for bringing this beautiful movie to my book.
I was about to say, you know it's a success when the director and the author are sitting next to each other doing an interview.
Not like,
yeah,
keep me away from
Yeah,
her.
usually there'd need to be like a potted plant or something here in between us.
So that's my first question. How did you come together and agree to sort of, how did you find Joyce's book and so on?
Yeah.
The book was published in 2009, and I heard from Jason very soon after, and we had a great 3-hour cup of coffee. But the first thing that he said after that, do you remember? You said you wanted to come over to my house and learn how to make a pie.
That's true.
Yes, and he did it. And that, I mean, I already loved his movies, so I felt very fortunate to begin with. And I loved it that he's young, because the main character in this movie actually is a young man about the age of you.
Right around how old I was in 1987.
I mean, we're looking at a 13-year-old boy through the eyes of the man that he becomes.
That's right.
But I also loved Jason's movies, so I felt incredibly fortunate. And then he came over to my house and he said, you know, that pie scene really matters to this film, and I want to see you make a pie and learn how to make a pie. And he did.
That was really, because I'm horrendous in the kitchen. I mean, it's just horrible. And
you made a great pie.
We actually,
and you brought it home
through
on the
your
plane,
hands. It was like the ghost scene, you know. She was basically forming my hands. Otherwise, I would have never been able to accomplish it.
Kind of like in the movie.
Yeah, but no. The first copy of Labor Day that I got was actually in galleys, and my producer Helen Esterbrook said to me, "This is like nothing you've ever done or nothing you've ever said you wanted to do, but I just have a feeling that you're going to love it." And she was
I didn't know that.
absolutely right. I read it, and there was nothing cynical about it. If you look at it, it's nothing like any of my other work, but I completely fell in love with it.
Never been able to become cynical
and
after all these years.
There was something about the DNA of the book that was actually very similar to my other work, which is characters making inexplicable decisions, and complicated characters, complicated relationships, people who needed each other, and I completely fell for the book. I read it, I wept, and I was just blown away that Joyce had somehow understood how to write the inner workings of a 13-year-old boy. It felt so true to me. And thus began our process. And I adapted the book actually very quickly, and I sent a copy of the screenplay to Joyce, and we were all ready to go, and we asked Kate Winslet to do the movie, and she said yes, and I thought, okay, we're making a movie, but she wasn't available for a year, so in the end we waited I think a year and a half for
Worth
Kate.
waiting for.
Oh, wow.
Waiting for it.
So tell me a little about casting. How did you choose Kate and Josh, and how did you guys feel about it in the end?
Well, I had both of them in mind while I was writing the screenplay.
And I'll tell you, I didn't have Josh in mind, but I had somebody connected to Josh in a way. When I write a novel, it's not that I'm trying to get the novel made into a movie. It's more that I see a movie already in my head, and I'm describing the movie that I see. But I cast it in my head as Tommy Lee Jones. But I will say to an AARP audience, Tommy Lee Jones 30 years ago, because that was my Tommy Lee Jones. And of course, as we know, Josh Brolin has played the young Tommy Lee Jones. So we were basically on the same page. Two different generations.
Yeah, it's in sync.
Yeah.
And you kept the son as the narrator in the movie. Both of you talk about, I mean, why did you have the son's point of view in the book, and why did you keep it in the movie?
Yeah, I'm more curious why
Well, I am in no way this character Adele. I mean, I am none of my characters and all of my characters. And that goes right down to the girl Eleanor, the 13-year-old girl. But one aspect of this story speaks to my own experience in a very deep way, which is that I was a single mother of, in my case, 3 children, but 2 of them were sons, in a small New Hampshire town, trying to reconcile my responsibilities and needs personally to take care of my children with my longing to take care of myself, and a yearning, a romantic yearning for something beyond motherhood, and that part that part was me. And I even drove that car, although I never told Jason that. And then I saw the movie. That was my car, actually, during those years. But I, as I was writing this book, I imagined seeing aspects of what I was going through during those years through the eyes of my sons, who are now 29 and 31 years old. And seeing a boy at the just at the outset of his own sexual life, looking at the sexual life of his mother.
Right.
Which is hard enough if his mother's married to his father, but if she's not.
Right. And how about why'd you keep the son as the narrator?
It's so hard a question to answer because I can't really imagine it any other way. That was just my way into the book. The point of view of the book is so accurate, particularly what you just mentioned. Those first moments of sexuality, seeing that's the form of a girl's bra strap through the back of her shirt while sitting in class. I mean, all these little moments, and there's so many of those. Frankly, the hardest thing about adapting Joyce's novel was that so much worked, so much was so good, that getting it down into 120 pages of screenplay, getting it down into what will be a 2-hour movie is very tricky.
Well, there's a solution, of course, to people that can then read the book.
That's true.
We happen to have here. If they want more.
And you do want more. I mean, it is actually a great companion piece to each other, in that the book only offers further insight into these characters, further plot, and reveals the characters in a more beautiful way. So.
Yeah. We at AARP have, as you know, what we call Movies For Grownups, and we have 2 categories of awards we give each year for a movie, one called a grown-up love story, and the other called Best Intergenerational Film. And this falls in both categories. And part of the reason I really lobby for this myself, while you're not 50, nor are Kate Winslet and Josh Brolin, which lots of times our winners, our movies have over 50 people.
I qualify.
You do.
Barely.
The love story is one that this grown-up audience can relate to. As it's a person who's lost and is taking care of this child, and then to have this it really was spectacular. So
I love. I don't want to give anything away, obviously, for people who haven't seen this movie. But as a person who just turned 60 last week and just got married last summer, I'm a huge romantic. I still believe in love stories for people. I don't think there's an expiration date for that.
Oh, well said.